I'm in Barton and Humber on the south side of the River Humber on a beautifully crisp and sunny February morning, here to explore a Larkin moment, a moment that occurred in June 1964 during the filming of the famous BBC Monitor film with John Betjeman. In that film, Larkin is seen entering into a church, and we see him cycling up through the entrance and to the porchway of the church. Now, we know from Larkin's letter to his mother Eva, written the day after the filming, that this church was on the south bank. In fact, it was, he says, in Barton. So here we are in Barton, and when I looked at the churches in Barton, there was only one church that it could possibly be that looked anything like the church on the video. And this is the parish church of St Mary's, which I'm standing outside of now. And the tower of that church looks very similar to the one in the film. So does the house across the road, which we see Larkin cycling past. But in both cases, they're not completely similar. The tower is not quite the same shape, and the windows in the house across the road are not quite the same. And even more striking is the fact that the pathway that Larkin cycles up to the church porch is far wider at St Mary's than it is in the film. And the porch, the entrance to the church, is also much bigger. And there are not the same gravestones or obelisks in the churchyard that appear in the film. So it's not this church. And if it's not this church, where is it? Well, I think the answer lies in a village a few miles away, in Barrow. So now I've driven about 3 miles up the road, 3 miles east to Barrow on Humber. And here I am outside the church of Holy Trinity. And this is it. This is most definitely it. This is the church that we see Larkin cycling up to in the Monitor film. Everything is in place here. The tower is exactly the same. The house across the road is exactly the same. The windows are the same shape. The building is the same shape. And the curve of the road is exactly right. Some things have changed. There's no longer a fence surrounding the churchyard. It's just grassed over. And some of the gravestones that we see in the Larkin film have gone. But the obelisk is there. In fact, it's a First World War war memorial, and that's in place. That's definitely the one. And the porch is the same size and shape as the one that we see Larkin peering into. Quite a lot of the gravestones that we see in the film are no longer there, including the one, I think, that Larkin ends up parking his bike on. There's one solitary gravestone leaning here that must be in the film too. But there were several on the ground here that have been moved, apart from this one. I don't think this is the one he parked his bike on. But that's the other one that's left. To peer inside. And he would certainly approve of this church. It's a beautiful building. No rood loft, but certainly there are the organ pipes. Here endeth. So there we are, a Larkin moment, a mystery solved. The church that appears in the film, the Monitor film, 1964, is Holy Trinity in Barrow on Humber.